Vicky here, and welcome to the Bond Room Unlocked, whereby we take an item from this 30-year-old collection and relate it to one of the films that we know and love in the franchise. And this episode will focus on Thunderball from 1965. And I want to start with this piece of memorabilia from 1996. Although not directly connected to the film Thunderball, it is linked in a different type of way. Now, this James Bond eau de toilette for me is your standard aftershave fare. But put it in a musical solar-powered gift box that plays some of the Thunderball theme, and it's a whole different matter. It's a unique item, and it's fairly rare to find one that is in working order. It's a fun item. Let's hear from Craig now and have his thoughts on Connery's fourth outing as Bond.
Hi Vic, it's Craig here. So you sent me a question yesterday asking my thoughts on Thunderball. Do I love it or do I loathe it? For me, there's only one answer. I love it. I think it's a fabulous Bond film. I think it's probably Sean Connery's best Bond film. I think the locations are stunning. You've got, for me, one of the best Bond villains in Largo. You've got a cracking plot. You've got stunning ladies. I think they are two of the best in the Bond series. And on top of that, you've got this cracking Bond score by John Barry, which is superb. I mean, people talk about which actor gave their best performance. A lot of people talk about Connery and Goldfinger, saying Goldfinger is the Bond film. But for me, Sean Connery is just super cool personified in Thunderball. I don't think he betters that performance. People talk about the underwater scenes being long and boring. For me, I find them epic. I think it's just stunning how it's filmed and how it's shot and how it's all put together. So for me, Thunderball, it's a 10 out of 10 Bond film. No two ways about it.
I have a totally different perspective to this film than Craig. I don't find that it ranks particularly high across the Bond films for me, which is quite controversial because many fans do find it in the top 5. But why is it not up there with the likes of From Russia with Love or Goldfinger? Well, to start with, I find the pacing of the film very slow and sluggish, and it's not the underwater scenes that completely paralyse me in this. As Goldfinger is my favourite Bond film, and I believe a hard act to follow, Thunderball just feels overstuffed. Bigger budget, more gadgets, bigger in scale. It just feels like it has the total opposite effect for me. And many people talk about the underwater scenes slowing everything down, and actually I don't mind it. Yes, it does slow, but and sometimes it's difficult to pick out, if you will, the heroes and the villains. But it has a stonking score, as Craig mentioned. And also, I was thinking, is this the precursor to the Moonraker battle scene some 14 years later? Well, there is only one man who can answer this question for us, Mr. Moonraker himself, Philip Blatchford.
Hello to Vicky and all the Bond Room Unlocked. Daily Moonraker here, answering the question, was Thunderball the precursor to Moonraker, or rather the space battle in Moonraker? And I think the answer is a little bit more complicated than that. In fact, I think it is and it isn't. I think it is in terms of it's a slow-paced scene, obviously underwater and in space, to a fantastic John Barry score, which I think I can hear. But also it's people in colourful costumes fighting each other endlessly. So in that ways, it is very much the precursor. But I think the whole idea of all the battles taking place at the end of the film with the Marines or the army coming in at one end and the villains, minions coming at the other, I think that really harks back to Goldfinger, which is the template of all the later James Bond films. But what Thunderball was they did film the underwater scenes at the same place as they filmed the Python fight. And I'm just going to be wrestling with my python, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
I hope he's okay. Anyway, there you go. So Thunderball actually lacks a clean edit, and this adds to these pacing issues. 1 minute it's almost in slow motion, and then we suddenly get real sped up film footage that mainly appears in the final battle chase, which really takes away the viewer immersion for me.
Hello, Neil, head of Station N Norfolk here. Just telling you why I do not like Thunderball. I do not like Thunderball for a lot of reasons. The two main ones are Connery has already started to showboat about halfway through the film. The scene where he's playing cards starts to showboat there, and it's a bloated film. It's a 90-minute film squeezed into 120 minutes. Honestly, it's in a dire need of a good edit.
See, I'm not the only one who believes it needs a good edit. Now, not everything in Thunderball is negative. Craig spoke about the female lineup, and it is one of the strongest in the franchise. We have Domino, played by Claudine Auger. We have Paula Kaplan, Bond's ally, played by one of my favourites and good friend Martine Beswick. And we have the best femme fatale, Fiona Volpe, portrayed by Luciana Paluzzi. Her performance is outstanding, and it is the highlight of the film for me.
You made a shocking mess out of my hair, you sadistic brute. Will you zip me up, please?
No wonder you can get dressed up quickly. And the way we can have a little talk. You may find it interesting. Come on.
I'm coming. I hate to think I'm gonna miss anything. And now we can go somewhere for an interesting talk.
Friends of yours, no doubt. Come in.
You dressed quickly, too. I didn't see that gun in the mirror.
Not that it matters, but that was under the pillow all the time.
And when did you find out?
Well, you're wearing the same ring as Largo.
It's a ring I like to wear.
Vanity has its dangers.
Vanity, Mr. Bond. Something you know so much about.
My dear girl, don't flatter yourself. What I did this evening was for king and country. You don't think it gave me any pleasure, do you?
Now, I was very lucky to meet Luciana a few years ago at an event. She's such a gracious lady and as lovely as ever.
Hi, JT Watson here talking about Thunderball. Thunderball is not one of my favorite James Bond films. Last time I did a ranking of all of the series, it came in at number 17, so pretty lower mid ranking for me. Some of the reasons I don't love Thunderball, I can't really point to one scene in Thunderball and say that's an outstanding Bond scene. Most of my favorite films, I can tell you one or multiple parts of the movie that is just really enjoyable and I'd rewatch over and over again. Thunderball just doesn't have that going for it for me. The villain is a little weak. Largo, not very menacing, not very exciting. So that's kind of a negative impact also. There are some good parts of Thunderball, especially the female cast is very strong. Fiona Volpe is one of the best femme fatales of the series. And top to bottom, allies and villains for the female cast is excellent. But again, it came in number 17 for me and actually was right behind Die Another Day.
Nice to see JT highlighting the strong female cast there. And one thing I do agree with JT on is the main villain. I think for a main villain to succeed, he needs to be strong and memorable. Largo held all the cards, but he just didn't play them for me. I mean, Largo, played by Adolfo Celli, used the good old ransom scenario. Hold the US and the UK to hostage for 100 million. Yet he gets completely overshadowed by those around him, particularly Fiona Volpe. He lacked any real menace for me. And maybe, as well, his lacklustre demise just adds to my frustration. So that's it from me. I hope you have enjoyed this Thunderball episode. If so, please give it an MI6 stamp of approval and click on the notifications below. And why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any further missions. You can also find me on Facebook, The Bond Room Unlocked, and on Instagram too with more content. I'd like to thank my guests for today, Craig Haywood from Thank You for the Music Facebook group, the Philip Latchford from the Daily Moonraker, Neil Edge from Norfolk, Agent Norfolk, and our friend from across the pond, JT Watson. And I'd like to thank you for joining me here at the Bond Room Unlocked.